Nairobi. Welcome.
The Prime Cabinet Secretary and CS for Foreign Affairs and Diaspora, His Excellency Musalia Mudavadi, and my boss, the chairman and board members of APSA Kenya, led by my very good friend Charles Muchane, Chief Executive and Managing Director, APSA Kenya, Abdi Mohammed, distinguished guests, esteemed stakeholders, members of the Fourth Estate, our Chief Forest Conservator, Professor Joroye, all of you, welcome to Karura Forest, our home. So you are our very important guests this morning, and we host between 7 to 10 million Kenyans every week, but every weekend. In a month, we host about between 70 to 80,000 Kenyans come to Karura Forest. So it's a great pleasure for me to join you on this very important, momentous occasion as we launch the APSA Kenya Foundation. And I'm particularly delighted that we chose Karura Forest as the venue of this event. Karura Forest is truly the jewel in our country's conservation efforts, embodying the principles of environmental protection that we shall all strive to uphold. But let me take this early opportunity to thank the entire leadership of APSA Kenya for their recent invitation during their launch of the 2023 Sustainable Report. Although I could not attend due to other official duties, I think I was ably represented by Dr. Ngeno, who is our PS, Environment and Climate Change. And I want to commend APSA Kenya for its very strong commitment to integrating sustainability into your business operation and working towards a sustainable future for our planet, for our communities, and for future generations. With today's launch of APSA Kenya Foundation, you now have even a more bigger, greater platform to collaborate with other stakeholders in advancing a very impactful, a deliberate effort to be a force for good. And I understand that the foundation has identified entrepreneurship, education, natural resource management, and health as its key focus areas. These are very crucial pillars that align with our shared vision of improving the quality of life for our communities across our country. As we gather here today, we are reminded that sustainability is no longer a choice, but a necessity. Natural resource management, whether in the context of forest, water bodies, land use, our marine diversity, requires our collective multi-stakeholder approach if we are to secure a healthy planet for future generations. The Ministry of Environment, Climate Change and Forestry commends the private sector in our country for its proactive commitment to climate action. Together, through various policies and initiatives, we are working towards fostering a green economy, enhancing climate resilience, and promoting sustainable land management practices. In the context of our national agenda as a government and people, sustainability is imperative. The Kenya government, through the initiatives such as the 15 billion tree growing program And Abdi, I think you need to increase from 10 million to about 50 million. Because we need to plant 1.5 billion every year in the next 10 years. As of today, we are at 481 million. So before December, I have a work to do. I have to, by the close of December 31st, inshallah, as me and Professor and the many other actors, we must plant 1.5. Our neighbors, Ethiopia, have done 32.1 billion. And we must clap for them. Prime Minister Abiy has done a good work. President William Ruto is the chairman of African heads of state and government on climate change. So he's leading from the front. And the minister was telling me, you need to go to pre-COP 29, not because you are the minister for environment Kenya, but you are the minister for environment in charge of Africa, representing the chairman. So I think the private sector plays very well. And we are going to have a scorecard where we're going to have an event where we are going to showcase and give them the presidential award schemes to the best of our private sector players in helping us restore our ecosystem, restore our marine ecosystem. In the context of our national agenda, sustainability is imperative. So the 15 billion growing program aims to increase our forest cover, which is now at 10.3% to 30% by 2032. This is a very ambitious goal. And it's not just about planting trees. It's about restoring the ecosystem. We don't call it planting, we call it growing. You can plant a tree and it dies tomorrow. So we say it's growing, not planting. But it's more about our ecosystem. It's more about mitigating the climate change. And it's more about creating sustainable livelihoods for our communities. However, we recognize this target cannot be achieved by government alone. And the Prime Cabinet Secretary will agree with me. Every Cabinet Secretary has a day to plant trees and has a county. From the President to the head of public service. One day, with their staff, they must go to the locations we have allocated for them in our various 47 counties, and they go and plant. I don't know which day I have allocated the Prime Cabinet Secretary, because my biggest worry is he's always moving. So he has a choice to plant maybe the one weekend that is in the country. It's the only one we have given him a leeway. We need the private sector now to step up, not just as partners, but as key drivers of innovation and scalable solution. And in this regard, I want to commend APSA Kenya for its commendable initiative to grow the 1.2 million trees to date, with a goal of reaching 10 million by 2032, subject to review, after consulting the chairman and Abdi. But for now, we are very happy with the 10 million. Collaborative efforts like this between government and the private sector will be instrumental in realizing the ambitious 15 billion trees by 2032. And we are open to further dialogue. We are open to collaboration, and we are open to joint initiatives that can amplify our collective impact on the ground. The rural resource management pillar of your foundation is of a particular interest, and you can count on our support as government to continue to drive this agenda. The potential for Kenya's forestry sector is enormous, and I urge the private sector, especially the banking industry, to consider commercial forestry and agroforestry as a viable and profitable. The forestry sector presents a golden opportunity to our citizens for not only to contribute to environmental conservation, but also drive economic growth and job creation. Let us take inspiration from countries like Finland, where the forestry industry contributes significantly to the economy, making up to 20% of their export revenue. Finland model demonstrates how sustainable forest management, coupled with innovative industrial process, can turn forestry into a key economic pillar. Similarly, Sweden and Brazil boast of their robust forestry industries that are vital for economic development. Here in Kenya, we have the potential to do the same. Commercial forestry, whether for timber production or wood processing or export, can create thousands of jobs for our young people. Banks and institutions such as ABSA have a very, very unique and important role to play in promoting these sectors. You can facilitate access to capital, provide financial products tailored to forest-based enterprise. Chebet, I think your Asali needs forests and trees. Yeah? Without, where do the bees go to? So there must be trees and there must be forest. So we must practice, we must improve the practice that improves land productivity and enhance biodiversity and increase our farmers' resilience to climate change. There are immense opportunities for investment in this area, and I will talk about it. But today is not my day. Today is the day for the Cabinet Secretary. Just to add on two very important things. And I think I use this platform to talk to the private sector. We want to clean Nairobi River. And if you read history, the Thames River in London was at one time as large. But today, I'm sure all of you who have been there, is a major even transport hub. The president and the government and myself as the Minister for Environment and Climate Change, we are committed to change Nairobi River. We don't have a river now. We have something else. So we want the private sector to partner with us on the cleanup, on the restoration and the regeneration of the Nairobi rivers. If you see the rivers within Karura Forest, you can go and drink the water as people walk. John Michuki, may his soul rest in peace, and Wangari Maathai did great fundamental work in terms of our environmental conservation and ecosystem. My plea to the banks is the law provides, the Environmental Management Act provides, where corporates who pollute the environment, industries and factories who pollute the environment will be charged and they will be under obligation and they will receive restoration order from NEMA to restore that river. So if we find any of your package, for example, along Nairobi River, the owner of that brand is under obligation to clean the river. So we have a big program. We are going to host a meeting with all the private sector players, including ABSA. We want you to help us fence our forest. Karura today is great because it is fenced. Karura now is over-congested. We want to offload part of the people coming to Karura to go to City Park, which we have taken over. We are trying to also partly fence and allow the people who live in Karen to go to Ololua and Ngong Forest. We don't want Kenyans to spend a lot of time in the malls. They need fresh air. Maybe one weekend they go to the malls, the other weekend they go to the forest and they walk. I've seen people doing 10. Here in Karura you can do 5 kilometers, you can do 10, you can do 20. Am I right? Yeah, you can do 15. You can come here at 5. Our rangers are everywhere. This morning as I was driving, and I'm sure the Prime Cabinet sectors you are driving, I don't know which gate you have used. We have many gates in Karura. It's very, very secure. Please, ABSA, and I know you are partnering with Safaricom, help us restore our ecosystem. And finally, climate change is real. From drought to floods to landslide is a current thing. We must have clear policies of mitigation and adaptation on how to deal with climate change. I'm going to COP29 with the Prime Cabinet Secretary and the President, and we are going to talk to the polluters. Africa contributes less than 4%. The people who pollute the environment are in the global north. The victims are in the global south, Kenya included. So in Baku, in Azerbaijan, in November, the story will be climate financing. Big corporations in the global north must commit finances, carbon credit transfer to the global south for the crimes they're committing to the environment. Thank you very much. It's now my duty and honor to invite my boss, my friend, and colleague in cabinet, the Prime Cabinet Secretary. Please, let's put our hands together to invite Honorable Musali.
The Honorable Aden Duale, my brother and colleague, who is in charge of